All right. Yeah, we're live. Let's see. All right, we got people starting to log on. It's pretty dope though. All right, man. People starting to log on, man. So let's just get things going. What's up, you guys? Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Grown Man Sessions. Welcome to our very first live interview. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing my boy, Jay Maranan. He goes by Stilla on the beat. He owns a independent music company called The Beat Seller. He's a dope music producer. He's a creator. He's an investor. He's a father. He's a husband. And he's an all-around good dude in my eyes, man. I'm really, really excited for you guys to hear him share his stories and get acquainted with his life lessons so that we can all level up too. But without further ado, let's get this thing going. What's up, Jay? Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today, bro.
Yeah, right on, man. Thanks for having me. Honored to be a part of the inaugural Grown Man Session live interview, man. So, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for reaching out, man. I appreciate you. I like what you're doing, and hopefully I could share some information, bring some value to your audience, and inspire some folks.
Man, that's the goal, man. And I think to start off, man, just if you can, just give us a little insight on your journey, where you come from, your background, and kind of where how things got you to where you are.
Yeah, man, definitely. So I'm from San Francisco, California. I'm an '80s baby. So I grew up in Visitation Valley. So it's a little, it wasn't the suburbs. You know what I mean? So it was a little rough back then when I was growing up. Uh, so I was exposed to music early on from my sister. She got me listening to all kind of things. Hip hop, whatever else was going on back there. My mom's were listening to oldies. So I got a good plethora of music. Like
Right.
OJ's, Earth, Wind and Fire, Michael Jackson. The Bee Gees. Just everything you could think of. Reggae. I was listening to reggae a lot. I just kind of got inspired by a lot. Uh,
Right.
Music was big in our family. Um, so yeah, man. So just kind of navigating through my neighborhood had working parents, so I was, they were hardly around. So I grew up outside with everybody else, all the other kids running around. Yeah, man. And then I got into producing, man. I remember I was in middle school. I was going to Visitation Valley Middle School, and this group called GLP, Get Low Players. That's San Quinn, JT the Bigger Figure, Demo, Seth the Gaffler. This group, San Francisco group, right?
Right. Right. Right.
They came through to our school, dropped off some tapes,
They
and
came to your school.
came to my school, middle school. Yep, it was a
Oh,
trip
damn.
right in front of the auditorium. I remember they came up. It was San Quinn, JT, and they had posters and they were passing out tapes. Stuck my hand out, grabbed the tape, and I was like, okay, cool. Threw the tape in, and then the first song was an instrumental. It's called JT and I Live. And then, yeah, when I heard that instrumental, I was like, man, yeah, just kind of like, I was like, it made me feel a kind of way. I was like, how do they do that? That's my initial thoughts. Like, how do they do that?
Right.
And then I got the RBL, Lesson to be Learned, and then I got Mac Mall's First Illegal Business.
Mm-hmm.
I got that, and that was it. I was like, I'm gonna produce, and then I kind of did what I had to do to get my hands on some equipment, and then I was producing from there. That's how I got started off, like in the music, kind of introduced to the music um, production, I guess. My
Mm-hmm.
brother, he was making music. He was doing like a different genre. He used to bring me to the studio with him. His group split. I grabbed his equipment, and then that's kind of where I got my start. And then I've just been at it ever since, man.
Yeah, man. I think being influenced by Bay Area music, like solely, you kind of, in my opinion, you get inspired not only by the music but by the message. Like because they're always talking about grinding and hustling and how to, get yourself going, man. So I totally get it.
Yeah.
Um, so I appreciate you talking about your background, man. One of the reasons why I invited you on was because you had posted something on Facebook a few weeks back that really inspired me, bro. So I was hoping it'd be okay if I read what you posted.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on, man. So, like a few weeks back, I was scrolling through my Facebook and I saw something that Jay posted, and this is what he said. He said, "I went through a dark and lonely time in my life a few years ago, and sometimes I feel the pain. It doesn't feel good to be around a bunch of people and still feel alone. The people I wanted to talk to most were too busy, and folks probably thought I was acting funny. Truth is, I was going through things folks couldn't help me with, and I was trying to help myself, just trying to maintain. I called folks often, and hardly anyone would answer. So I started listening to podcasts, reading and listening to audiobooks, and these became my conversations. These adjustments changed my life. I got on my knees and prayed several nights by myself. And I'm not sure who needs to hear this, but stand up and believe that things will get worse before they get better. And you'll be stronger than you imagine when you get through your struggle. Hashtag God is the greatest." So, man, I just need you to know, man, that me reading that really resonated with me because I can relate. I know what it's like to, to feel alone and kind of like feel like, nobody else is out there like that has your back and you're just trying to figure things out, but you don't really have anybody to lean on. Um, can you just kind of go into that for us, bro, and just talk about what motivated you to write that post?
Yeah, man. I mean, this might sound kind of strange, but I feel like I'm a very spiritual guy. You know what I mean? And I think I got hit with the ghost, man. I got hit with the Holy Ghost. I mean, I'm not being funny, man, but like I was literally walking through the kitchen, and then this
Mm-hmm.
message came to me, and then I walked to my living room. I got on my knee, and I started to type. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I planned it or nothing. I just typed because that was what I was feeling at the moment, and I felt like that message had to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And that the Facebook platform was my way to get that out, right? And I think I kind of reflected in a split second of what I've been through in my life and where I was at that moment when I wrote that, and like I felt kind of I felt moved, like I need to share this, right? So that's what I started writing, and that what I was writing about, it was really about um, a time where I went through where I lost my mom. I lost my mom to cancer, right?
Sorry to
And
hear that, bro.
yeah, thank you. And that was is still is like the hardest moment of my life. Like
Mm-hmm.
strongest woman that you see, and I'm very thankful that I got my mom for that long. You know what I mean, in the physical form.
Of course.
Some people don't have their moms, so like I'm
Mm-hmm.
very blessed. So don't get that mistaken. But for me, it's very difficult for me. Um, and I haven't shared this with too many people, but I was the last one in there when she took her last. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
It was very traumatic for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Can't imagine, bro.
yeah, you want to be there to the end, but when the end is there, can you handle it? You know what I mean? So that was very traumatic for me. It cut me deep. And during that time, like everything sped up so fast, I didn't really get a chance to mourn. You know what I mean? Like it was like business, like the casket, the service, the viewing, this, that, and the other. And I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to sit there and be like, man, I just lost a piece of my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and just trying to figure out how to deal with that was very challenging. Like I was heavy into music at that moment. You know what I mean? And I couldn't focus. I needed support. You know what I mean? I needed somebody to hold me up because I was falling. Like I
Right.
couldn't think straight, and during this time, like you know, on the outside I look cool, I look normal, but inside I'm hurt. You know what I mean? So I remember I was reaching out to people like who I consider good friends. Not saying that they're not now, but
Mm-hmm.
during that time I'd reach out and I would get like, oh, let me hit you back, and never get nothing back. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
or no answers, or text no response. Like,
Right.
and then I'll just be hitting random, not random folks, but people from my past, just actually to check up on them. Because I was feeling hurt, and I was like, damn, I better check on some of my folks.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out, and it was just everybody was too busy, and then I started getting into this pattern. Like I'm gonna hit my boy or hit this person. If they don't hang up, I'm gonna just listen to a podcast or something. I'm gonna listen to a book or an audio book, and then I got into. I remember I got into this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. It was right around the time where I was kind of I felt stagnant in my life, and I was like lacking in some areas, and I felt like um, I needed something more. I needed more
Mm-hmm.
information. I needed to grow, And then I remember I was like asking my wife now. I was asking, like what kind of books are like good books to read, and then I started just kind of doing searching, and then I came across, I have a son. I had a son at that time, and I didn't really believe too much in the educational system. And I came across this Robert Kiyosaki excerpt of him talking about education and how we are purposely uh, not taught financial education. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and these are survival tools, right? Like in
Right.
school, they don't teach you how to open up a bank account. They don't teach you what credit is. They don't teach you what bad credit is. They don't teach you how to, they don't even introduce the idea of saving money. Uh,
Investing,
Investing,
interest,
yeah, interest, mortgage, like just how to set yourself up for
none
the
of
real
that.
world, right?
Yeah.
And then he was talking about that, and then I started to like look up some of his books. Nipsey Hussle died, got killed, and something was published with like 57 books that he read. I didn't even know he was a reader at that point. And then that book was in his top 10. So I was like, I'm gonna just check this book out. And then that right there, that book just changed my life, man. Like changed my life. It just kind of like some of the takeaways that I had from the book was like assets versus liabilities. You don't really think about that, right? What is an asset and what is a liability? Simply put, an asset is something that makes you money, and a liability is something that takes your money, right? So, like if you have a car, you're paying for new tires, you're paying for maintenance, oil change, gas, you're paying for, you know, insurance, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? You're paying for.
Liability.
You're paying. It's coming out of your pocket. Versus like if you have something else like an asset, like a real estate, cryptocurrency, stocks. You invest that money into there, and that will generate revenue, right? So what makes you money, that's an asset, right? So that, and just kind of like making your money work for you, right? What really like resonated with me, there was a section in the book where he talks about at some point some of your family members, like your parents, they're going to get sick, and when they get sick, somebody's going to have to pay for their medical expenses, right? And then if they do die, somebody has to pay for their funeral expenses, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was right around the time when I just got through, like my mother passed away.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that right there struck a chord, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm sold, because this is facts. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I
You
wasn't
knew
making
firsthand.
firsthand. I just experienced this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just lost my mom. I didn't have that much. I wasn't making much money, and I just had a kid. And so I had to come out of my savings to pay for some, funeral expenses that I wasn't ready to pay for. You know what I mean? But I had to send her off properly. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And when I was like, man, I don't ever want to feel like that ever again. I don't ever want to feel unprepared. I don't ever want to feel pinched like that. I don't ever want to feel that feeling to where like, I, I'd rather be focused on, you know, finding that peace. But now I got to think about money. I don't never want to feel like that. So that's when I started like seeking more information. Like, how can I change my outcome? And that's when I really got into books. I had to, yeah, man, Warren, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, man. Like, I'm not trying to give my kids what I didn't have. I'm trying to teach them what I wasn't taught. You know what I mean? Like that. I think that's where this is where the road stops for my family. Like, we gonna break the chains right here, and I'm taking a different path. You know what I mean? And they're coming with me. So that this is my motivation and my purpose. But how I look at that experience in my life is that through the through like the passing of my mother, it kind of it kind of breathed life into me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I saw her at the end, and I just saw my own mortality. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be here. So let me do everything I need to do, everything I want to do now, because none of this matters. You know what I mean? Like, cars, clothes, all that stuff, it's not coming with me to the grave. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So I'm gonna do whatever I need to do, whatever things I wanted to do. I'm gonna live my life different. You know what I mean? Like, we're all gonna get there one day. So I thank my mother because of that experience, it opened my mind up in a different way. And yeah, I just like I knew I wanted a different outcome, so I started seeking more information. I started books, man, like another book, Think and Grow Rich, The Richest Man in Babylon, Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits is a life changer. Never Split the Difference, man. There's so many books. Like, the information is out there, man. Like, I think another investment, another asset is your mind. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about that more, man, because he like a lot of these things that you're talking about to me is like leveling up, and trying to find ways to improve yourself, trying to find ways to, like you said, provide more that for your the next generations that you had, but also something really big that I feel like you touched on is changing the generational trajectory of you and your family. I think that's like a really really big thing to try to tackle. And I think if we could get something out of this conversation that will help other people realize how big that is and how important it is to try to like focus on that, maybe we can, inspire somebody else to do the same thing. So let's tap into that, man. So let me ask you this. When you were reading these books and you were, taking in all this information, what do you think was the thing that pushed you to put all of this into action? Because there's a difference between reading, just reading, and then actually going through with emotions. Like, what was the thing that pushed you forward to say, I'm going to take the education, but I'm also going to use it for, these objectives that I have now?
A couple of things. The first one is my kids, right? Um, there is a thank you. I appreciate that. Um, no, but there is, uh, if you find a reason, a good enough reason to do something, um, there's no way you can't not do it. You know what I mean? There's a
Right.
saying that goes that find your why. It's Simon Sinek, right? Your why, the purpose for why you do things, right? So I knew that my kids were my purpose. I just didn't know how they were my purpose. But once I figured that out, it was just like, you know,
Like a light switch.
it was like a light switch, man. Like, I
Mhm.
knew I didn't want my kids to you know kind of go the same path I went. You know what I mean? They deserve everything. So once I had a purpose strong enough to drive me, that was it, right? I was like, okay, what I want to do is I want to get my kids, um, I want to get them property because 80% of millionaires get their millions from property. So that's just how I looked at it, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on doing that. So that's been my main focus, right? But in doing that, you know, you also are able to provide jobs, right, to
Mm-hmm.
contractors, to the lenders, to the banks, to the title company, to everybody that's a part of that process, right? They need to eat, and you know, if I'm in a position to help them with their goals, and we help each other, then it's like a win-win situation. That's how I look at it. You provide housing for somebody that may not be able to afford a house right now. You provide housing, you provide jobs, and at the same time, like now I have my kids that have options. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they got somewhere to live. If God forbid I go early, I know they'll have somewhere to live. You know, they may be able to you know, rent it out. You know, they have an asset. You know what I mean? I'm leaving them with something. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that's kind of,
Something that they could build on.
they could build on it, right? So like,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted this information that you know, my journey. This is what I want to share with folks because I think it's important because they don't share this information. They don't teach you this in school. You know what I mean? And you got to look at this like from a business standpoint, right? You know, people that have clothing lines, it's a business, right? You're providing jobs,
Right.
you're trying to generate revenue, but what's your purpose? What is your purpose? You know what I mean, for doing that? I think that's what's going to be key to being successful, right?
I like how you mentioned, you know, like along your process of you know providing, you're also providing like resources and opportunities for other people as well. And I read somewhere that you know when you're trying to like build, you know, your wealth or your expertise or whatever it is, your career, during that process, you know, like it's not going to come right away. So in order to like plant seeds and to be able to like build that path for yourself, that's the suggestion, is to help other people do the same thing. Help other people make money, help other people fulfill a need, help other people do something else. Because in the end, man, like I don't know how spiritual you are, but to me, like I look at it as energy. And if you're putting out that good energy, it's gonna come back, man.
For
I
sure.
mean, that's just the way that the universe works.
100%. Yeah, so that was just kind of like one aspect, right? Another thing that kind of like uh, drove me to take action was the just learning like about finances, right, and kind of about money and how economics work. You know, at a low level, right? Like um, inflation, right? One thing is that if your money is sitting in the savings account, right now this year we're at 4% inflation, 3-4% inflation. That means your money is 3% less than what it's worth because everything is going up in, you know,
Yeah,
price,
it's
right?
losing its value.
Losing its value. Everything is becoming more expensive, and your
Hmm.
dollars, your money in the bank's not making anything, right? So that was like, if I could pull my money out and make 1% return, because you're only, if you have money in a savings account, your yield is like 0.01%. You're making zero return on your money. You're not
Right.
even making 1%. So even if I pull my money out and I put it in the stocks and I make 5%, put it or 2%, or try to buy real estate and make 4% return, it's way better than zero or -3. It's way better than -3, right?
For
Positive.
sure.
So you're trying to get that positive. So, and then like, you know, back to, you know, my mom's last couple of months, I just saw how things hit the fan. You know, her chemo was like 5 Gs, radiation 5 Gs, doctor's visits 200 a pop, her pills was like 150 a pop. And I was like, man, like this is not, it's a struggle when you get there towards the end. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So it's like, you know, you have to prepare for something to come like that. Like you can't be oblivious. This is
Right.
reality. This
Right.
is reality. So
And you got to prepare for it.
you got to prepare for it, right? Like I think like I can't remember the numbers. It's like 85% of Americans by the time they retire have like, I think 300,000, if that 250,000 to, or let's say two to 300,000 in their 401k. Right now, if your cost of living with your family, let's say it's $100,000 a year plus the inflation, you got 3 years to before you go broke. What are you gonna do? You know what
Right.
I mean? You got to pay taxes on your Social Security. So it's like, you know what I mean? you don't have any tax shelter, you're probably going to get taxed worse because you don't have a job.
I heard a stat kind of like that where they're saying that the majority of Americans would go bankrupt over $1,000 emergency.
Yeah, there's no savings. You know what I'm saying? There's no
Right.
no savings, no rainy day money. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's not there because we're not taught that. We're programmed differently. So I think that's the importance of the books. And back to what you're saying, like what kind of drove me and motivated me to actually take action was
Hmm.
I felt it was more of a risk not taking action than actually, going forward and taking a risk. I think it's less risky to take a risk in that from that standpoint. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, if you're, I'm a numbers guy, man, and if you put these numbers on paper in front of me, I'm gonna tell you go take the risk as opposed to playing it safe in your savings account. Because, like, say you invest $100 in something and you lose it, it's a bad investment, right? As opposed to you put $100 in your bank account and it makes you $1. I mean, you're not really gambling much, but at the same time, that $100 could end up making you, $140, or it could
Yeah,
make you
double.
$200.
Yeah,
It just depends on what you put your investments in. But I think what you're saying, man, about financial literacy is something that I've talked to with other people about that is very, very uncommon in our school systems, like you said. So I would love it if you could kind of expand on that, man. Like how, like the importance of it, just the importance of financial literacy. You've already talked about preparing for, family members that when they pass away, dealing with the expenses. You've talked about, wanting to provide for your family, but even just survival, man. It's like even just like dealing with your day to day stuff, man. Financial literacy is something that just I don't know why, man. Just we're just not taught it. You know what I mean?
it's on purpose, man, because they want a certain social economic class to. I
Stay
mean,
that way.
yeah, because they want you to work and pay taxes, right? Because the taxes fund the government officials, city officials, police. To get the city jobs funded. You know what I mean? So who pays for that? The people, the working class. You know what I mean? So just kind of learning how to maneuver and I think one thing that is very important is that the information is out there. If you
Oh man.
Yeah, and if you don't know the information, hang around the people that do know the information. You know what I mean? Like hang around the people that are successful in the space that you want to be successful in, right? Like if you want to be like a dope musician, hang around the people that are dope musicians. You know what I mean? Like it's simple, but I think like city folks from the city, um, it's kind of like a crabs in a bucket mentality, right?
It's like that everywhere, bro.
Yeah, but like I want to come up. So in order for me to come up, I'm gonna hold you down. You know what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
I'm trying to get up. You know what I mean? Instead of like, no, let's
Let's all come up together.
come up together, or like just help each other out, man. It's just, and that's the mentality we're kind of raised with, right? And then we kind of our environment, like how that goes. You're a product of your environment, yes, but if you have the willpower and the drive enough to do it, like and I'm not saying that it's easy because some people have it rough. You know what I mean? Like no support system, no structure. Families torn apart. You know what I mean? So to see people bloom from that type of background, man, that right there
It's inspiring.
it's super inspiring, man. So like I just hope like like I said, I didn't come from the projects, but I didn't come from the suburbs either. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I think I've had these types of conversations with people in my neighborhood. We're not supposed to make it. We're not supposed to be successful. It's just that's
Right.
just something we don't think about. It's like a limiting
Right.
belief, right? Like you look at the neighborhood and this is cool. I'm okay here. I'm comfortable. I'm content. But life is much more than that. You just have to like think about it. You know what
I
I'm
think
saying?
I think a lot of that too is what I've noticed myself because I'm from a very similar background as you.
Hmm.
Is that when people all they know is that neighborhood and that life, like you said, they just are willing to accept it. But once people start venturing out and seeing what else is out there and like being like, man, like it's not always like this everywhere else. I feel like it just opens people's eyes to like the possibilities and the opportunities and the things that they could accomplish. But what I have noticed is that people just don't want to go out of that comfort zone. It's too comfortable. It's just like that safe space. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I think once you get uncomfortable, that's when you grow.
For sure.
You know what I mean? That's when you learn the most. That's when you start to level up. You got to get uncomfortable, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be scary, and you're going to feel uncertain. But I think that's all part of the process of growing. Because
You're gonna question yourself. You're gonna doubt yourself.
yeah, no, that was part of the post when I was saying like I was like I felt alone. I didn't have support. I didn't have no one to talk to. I was scared. I didn't even know how to deal with myself. You know what I mean? Like I was going through a lot. Like I was probably on the verge of a mental breakdown. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't take it. You know what I mean? And that's like I said, I turned to these audiobooks and these became my conversations. So like, they became very therapeutic for me.
Hmm.
And at the same time, I was getting so much game, so much information for free, and then
That's the crazy part, bro. It's like all this information is out there. It's like we just have to go find it. Like we just have to go look for it.
yeah, no, the want to go, do better,
Yep.
change your outcome. Like you got to want it, and nothing's going to be given to you. Yeah, and I think it's important. It's just like I think we had a conversation about this, right? Like if you want to grow in a space, like think about hiring a coach or having a mentor, right? Like, um, like I have a coach, I have a mentor. Because I got goals and I want to get to my goals fast. So like if you want to work on your batting because you play baseball, you're gonna hire a batting coach. You know what I mean? Right? Boxing. Mike Tyson
Yeah.
had a coach. Champions
Yep.
have coaches. Kobe.
Michael Jordan, Kobe.
Everybody has coaches. So what makes one think that if they want to get somewhere, they want to go fast, they can do it without a coach? They can, but they'll take a lot longer, right? I got a coach right now. Like I want to be, you know, I want to be, I have goals with the real estate. You know what I mean? Like I think that's a strong asset class that, you know, if you look at the historical data, it just
It's always going up.
it always goes up. Like it'll go down. Everything has a cycle, right?
Hmm.
It'll go down, it'll go up, but eventually, like if you look at a house that was purchased 30 years ago and you look at the price now,
It's
that's how
always
much.
gonna be up.
There's your generational wealth right there, especially if you buy in a good area, right? Like if you buy a house in like in California, in like I don't know, the Bay Area, you have a kid 30 years later, you keep that house, they have options. They got somewhere to live, they could probably collect rent, they could sell it, they could take a loan out against it, pay for their whole college tuition,
Yep.
and there's your generational wealth. Imagine if you had two of those, or three, or 10. You know what I mean? You're providing housing, you're providing jobs, you're changing the trajectory of not just your life, but somebody else's potentially, right? So what do? I try to work with coaches, be around people, like shout out to Zen Coast University. I work with them a lot. You know what I mean? I'm part of that community. I like to bring value. You know what I mean? I like to one day educate, like how I'm doing here, right? Share my knowledge, share my experience, inspire, because I think it's important for the next generation. Um, we shouldn't be withholding this information. We should kind of like, the saying goes, each one teach one, right? Like we need to share this information. And this doesn't just go for real estate, it goes for anything, for music. If you want to be you want to be a dope producer, hang around dope producers. You want to be a good sax player, then go to where all the sax players are playing. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I think you want to be like a great basketball player, you're going to play with the best. And I think that's like, um, in the most simplistic form, right? You want to be
Right.
successful at something, be around those people that are successful in that space.
Gotta
Read
challenge
about it.
yourself.
Yeah, read about it, learn about it. Like if you want to learn you want to learn about publishing in music, you know what I'm saying? In the music entertainment business, read a book, go join a webinar, uh, talk to people that you might think that are successful in that space, pick their brain, you know, partner up with some folks. Maybe they could show you the process, and then you have to apply yourself. It's nothing's going to be given to you. You know what I
But
mean?
step one is you gotta put your phone down and get off Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, man. You gotta go out there and get the knowledge, man.
Yeah, for sure. It's out there, man. It's out there. So I think that's kind of a theme that is kind of new to me, but I think it's worth going down that road to, especially if you have goals and you want to get somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you said it really well, man. As far as just challenging yourself. Like you said, man. You said if you want to be a dope producer, be around dope producers. I mean, you're not gonna go be around a dope producer and just automatically turn into one. You're gonna have to put in some time. You're gonna have to pay your dues, and you're gonna have to put in work, and you're gonna have to like earn the respect of those people to get respected. So, I mean, it's gonna take some time, but I mean, that's an investment in yourself. That's an investment in your future. I mean, everything is gonna come with its own set of challenges, man. And one thing that always resonated with me that I love telling other people is that success lies right outside of your comfort zone. If you're just totally going to be in your comfort zone like the rest of your life, it's going to be really hard to reach your dreams and your goals and do really great things with your life, because there's not very many opportunities that are just going to stay in one spot. You're going to have to chase them. You're going to have to put in some work, do some research, and just try to, bring them to life. But
Yeah, absolutely. 100%, man. Like you got to get uncomfortable, man. It's going to be uncomfortable, but if you stay comfortable, then you probably um, are going to remain comfortable. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where you're going to be at. But if you go, if you, especially if you're young, if you're younger and you're
oh
young,
man,
you got all the time in the world to make mistakes because you could bounce back fast.
right?
You got to be a little bit more agile and kind of move in a different way when you kind of get older. But yeah, I think educating yourself. I think that's one thing I would, if I were to go back to my younger self, that's one thing I would advise. Get into some books. It's free information right there.
I was actually going to ask you that, man. Like, if you could go back and do anything different, what would it be?
Read books. I was in my environment. It was like that was kind of frowned upon, right? Like too cool. I was too cool for school, man, and that was just kind of me being just kind of just being adolescence. You know what I mean? Just kind of being young and dumb. But that's one thing I would do is just kind of get more into books and yeah, just kind of take that more serious.
Yeah, me too, man. I think if I could go back and do things different, it would definitely be my education. But I would also have like tried out for the high school basketball team. As funny as that sounds, I don't know why, man. Like I always regretted that. Like I didn't have the courage, even though I knew I was good enough. I
Yeah,
just didn't have the courage, man. Like I wish I just believed in myself more and listened to the people around me because there are people who like pushing me, like Tim, go do it, go do it. I mean, because I could hoop, man. Like back in the days, like I was balling, but couldn't see myself doing it, man. So I always tell myself, man, like if I could go back, that's why like even right now I encourage my kids, man, like you know, as long as you try, if you fail, I don't care, like just try though. Don't live with that regret of like thinking like, oh, I could have done this, but I didn't try. I mean, because that's like the worst feeling.
exactly. Yeah, like like, and that goes back to like how we're programmed, right? Self-limiting beliefs. Like
Oh man,
you don't think you can do it, so you tell yourself that I can't do it, or I'm not going to be able to do it. So you telling yourself that you can't do something, automatically you're not going to do it, right? Versus like, oh, I think I could do it, or let me give it a try. You know what I mean? And I think a lot, me included, right? Like all these self-limiting beliefs, like, damn, I, I'm not going to be able to buy a house in this market. How am I going to do that? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. And then that's it. You just
I'm not
stop.
gonna be able to get a loan. I'm not gonna be
Yeah,
able to make a down payment.
I'm not going to be able to qualify. How do you know? You don't know. We don't know until we try. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then when we do try, we're like, okay, bank, I want to buy this house. How do I do that? Oh, okay, you need to qualify, fill out this application and see how much you qualify for. Okay, Jay, you only qualify for, I don't know, 300,000 or whatever, 200,000. Okay, well, if I want to buy $1 million house, I only have $200,000. I got to do something. I got to get a different job. I got to figure out a way to make more income to increase my revenue, right? And then I'll try to reapply in like 6 months or a year, however long it takes me to increase my income.
Hmm.
Go back in. Okay, now you apply. Okay, you qualify for 700. Okay, cool. Where can I buy a $700,000 house? Probably in Hayward or something. Okay, so now I can buy a house. But if you're just to be like, nah, I can't qualify.
It's not. I'm not gonna be able to do
You have 100% chance of not getting a house by you telling yourself you can't do something.
it.
That's your self-limiting belief. So like, you know, if you kind of change that, and this is one thing I learned through books, right? Like how they say successful people don't say I can't do that. They say how can I do that? So how can I do that? How can I qualify? How can I figure this out? Who can I talk to? Like, they kind of dig for more information. And I think that is something that we should kind of embrace, right? Like we should say like, well, uh, yeah, probably I'm unable to do that right now, but how can I at some point be able to, right? And then you get that information, and that's where your search starts. You know what I mean? Google, that's number one. Just simple.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, like in my process of doing things, like I was always real reluctant to try to ask people questions or bounce ideas off of people because either I felt dumb asking those questions, or I felt like they might look at me a certain way, and that's another thing that I would have done different too, is like I would have been a little bit more confident in the fact that like I'm just trying to get information. And
Right.
so like I would tell other people, like, if you have questions, man, just ask. If you have like ideas that you want to figure out, man, like ask people. Like that's what kills me about people today, man, is that you can literally ask anybody anything damn near. You know what I mean? Like if somebody heard you right now and was like, man, like that's a really good idea, they could literally reach out to you in 5 minutes and get a response from you in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I highly encourage people to just utilize like technology and social media and all these different distractions that they could be distractions. Use them in a way to benefit you, man, because the networking is there, the information is there. I mean, people like Jay want to help. I mean, he's over here sharing his information with everybody just based on the fact that he just wants to inspire people and help people. There's tons of other people out there like that, man. So I mean, it like you keep saying, man, like that's the theme that I'm getting from this is like the information is out there, just go get it,
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Everything, in anything, man. All the information is out there. Just look at the people that are successful, right? Like, and just kind of that could be your baseline. Like what would if you're an artist, like what would Jay-Z do? You know what I mean? Like how would he approach this situation? And then
Hmm.
kind of think like people that are successful. If you want to be successful, think like the successful people do. You know what I mean? They try to figure out ways to maneuver, and I think that's critical thinking is kind of one thing that a lot of people lack is just critical thinking outside of the box. You know what I mean?
So if you were to meet, say, like a young person, and you notice that they're trying to level up, but they just don't have it figured out yet. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know what to look up on Google. Um, what would you tell that dude? Like step one, like if you like, I see you trying, man. I see that you want to, improve your situation. What would you tell him to be step one? Like,
Step one, whatever they're interested in, look for a book that is a guide to providing more information in that whatever your interest is, right? If you want to be an engineer, like a, let's say, a musical engineer, get a book on engineering. You know what I mean? Like, I think the information is there. um, Use Google, kind of search. That's where your search would begin, and just start getting as much information as you can
Hmm.
in that. But I think for what has been very instrumental in me changing my mindset and just changing my life's trajectory is books, webinars, and seminars. I think if you are, again, like, want to be around those people, you'll learn a lot faster versus not. You know what I mean? Um, like one thing that you know kind of helped me with the music business, right? I, I assume that you have like a lot of people that are musicians or artists. Um, they call it the music business because it's a business.
Right.
The easy part is creating the music and dropping projects. That's easy.
Hmm.
What do you do beyond that? That's something you should ask yourself, right? Okay, you drop the project. What do you do beyond that? Do you have marketing campaign? Do you have a marketing promotions campaign? Are you registered with any performing rights organizations? How are you going to collect your royalties? How are you going to collect royalties off of your streams? How are you going to collect your mechanical royalties off of like iTunes? Um, Publishing. Do you know what publishing is? Learn about that. How are you going to collect your publishing? Is somebody going to administer your account? Is somebody collecting royalties on your behalf? Um, how are you doing collaborations? How's that set up? Are those songs registered? Do you have uh, split sheets to where this person gets this percentage and this person gets their percentage? Right? Do you have that in place? Contracts, just things like that, right? This is the music business. How are you supposed to collect your money that's owed to you if you're putting music out, right? Um, and for me, I learned all that. I was like, I've been making music for decades. You know what I mean? Literally, and it came to a point where I was just like, what? Something's not clicking here. Like something's not working. I'm putting in all this time, but my return's not how I'd like it to be. So I like everything that I was saying earlier. That's what I did. I started Googling. Okay, like what is publishing? What is, boom, what is this? What is that? What's a split sheet? What's this contracting? What's a work for hire contract? What is that? And I started looking at YouTube videos. I started like reaching out to some people that I know that know a little bit about it and trying to get some education. Then I ended up going to the ASCAP Expo by myself. I asked some of my peers, people in my peer group, like, "Hey, let's go down to LA." Nah, I got money. Okay, well, I'm gonna go out. If you want to come, I'm going. You know what I mean? Like, I got a room, stay with me. And nobody wanted to come, so I went by myself. And I learned so much information. My whole my everything leveled up immediately. I came back and I was like, I just knew so much information in that one. It's like a 3-day trip by myself.
So let me, if you don't mind me asking, man, I just want to like kind of give people an idea. Like, do you remember like around how much money you spent?
Yep, I spent about $1,100 because I
So
because I went by myself. The tickets were like 250. It was like a 3-day pass, and so I had to rent a car. I had to get the room, my food, um,
mhm.
so and gas, all that. I think and then yeah, the hotel for 3 nights or 2 nights or whatever. It ended up coming up to about $1,100.
But
So
if you break that down into what you're saying earlier about assets and liabilities, man, I would categorize that as an asset.
yeah, I got my
You're
money
in-
back already.
yeah.
I got my money back. So like when I came back when I came back, I literally me and my shout out to M. Brando. I manage him. That's my artist. Um, so when I came back, I said, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna focus on this. Like syncs, for example. Placements. And then I kind of laid it out. I kind of laid out the groundwork. This is what I want to do. This is where my focus is gonna be. And This is kind of the direction I'm gonna go. Next year, I was like, hey, I'm going back because I made so many connections. I learned so much. I was like, I'm going back. You want to come? And I invited, my peer group. Hey, what's up? I'm going back. If you want to come, cool. If you don't want to come, that's cool too. But MDOT, he's like, I'm gonna go, and he went. Boom, just woke his whole game up. Like everything I was talking about before, he was like, man. So we literally spent 1 year, registering and properly, getting the paperwork all together for our whole catalog because we were kind of missing. We didn't have the information. We weren't set up properly. So we literally spent a year going back, fixing everything. But now, because we got the information and we know how to do it, we're on the right track now. You know what I mean? Well, for a while now, but at the time, we got the information, we figured it out, we learned, we studied, we did some research for months. You know what I mean? I remember when I first was breaking it down to MDOT, it took maybe 4 weeks for him to understand what I was talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Like we would sit and talk for hours, and he's like, "Well, what is publishing?" And no disrespect, because we all learn, right?
Right.
But like, what is publishing? How does it work? Well, how do you register? Like, what, just like a million questions. And for like 4 weeks, I was like, oh, this is how it works. I had a dry erase board. I was drawing it out on the dry erase board, and
you probably could have like paid people to sit in on that right there.
I could have, but when it finally clicked, it was like, oh, okay, boom, now we're moving different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now it's really the music has become more of an asset, right? It's a different asset class. It's intellectual property. So you can generate, you can utilize it in a different way now, in more ways than just one.
Right.
I mean, instead of just like dropping an album and trying to get streams or whatever, digital, which is not bad. You know what I mean?
But there's more to it.
There's more ways to try to generate revenue. So just kind of being exposed to other people that are successful in that and kind of like getting their experience and them sharing their knowledge. I had a notebook and I was just taking notes. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Like, okay, research this, research that, network with this person, be prepared, switch business cards, contact, try to collaborate. I collaborated with a couple of artists out there in LA, in Buffalo. Shout out to Mario Grand, FYI, and what I'm saying, LA, and we kind of on a similar frequency. They know the business, I know the business. So when we drop something, it's like, okay, cool, we're gonna see some type of return in some aspect. You know what I mean? Versus like just dropping the project and not knowing what's gonna happen, where it's gonna go, if it's registered properly, if you're gonna even see anything back. So I think it's a lot of information, man. But I think if you want to be successful in whatever it is you want to do, you definitely have to invest in the educational aspect of it, right? Like learning about it. If you're serious about yourself, right? And if your motivations are strong enough and your reasons are strong enough, there's no reason you shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to invest in something, invest in yourself. You'll never lose.
That's a great visualization of actually leveling up too, man, and just explaining, like not knowing about the publishing, but then spending the money, going through the process, like learning, building, networking, doing the hard work. I'm sure there is points in that whole process where you're pretty uncomfortable and kind of like maybe nervous about the whole situation, but pushing forward and then coming to the point where, like how you said, man, you're working with these artists now, you're seeing the money come back, you're seeing your investment be fruitful. I think that's I just want to like end that note on a really, really positive way, because that in itself is just like the visualization and the manifestation of leveling up, in my opinion, especially for me, because like I'm an artist, and I think a lot of artists don't take that step, man, and just invest a little bit of time and energy into learning all these different aspects of the business that we're in. And it can pay off. It can pay off. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, you have the art, you have the creativity, so you have the asset, you have the thing that will make money if you just give it the back end, you give it the administrative side, you give it the business legs to be able to move like when it needs to. But
Right.
like before we go, man, I just wanted to ask you if there's any other pieces of advice or any other gems that you could give us just in regards to how you were able to overcome your hardships and kind of get to where you're at, man. Because I'm really digging your story and I appreciate everything that you're sharing with us.
Yeah, man. I think investing in yourself, investing in education, just kind of the things that I talked about. I can't say it enough because these things that I'm talking about literally have changed my life. You know what I mean? Like I could have been in a worse situation easily. You know what I mean? But with God's grace, He kind of helped me. He was there with me, walking with me, through the ups and through the downs. Um, some other things too is that you know, when you think about health, you think about your physical health, right? But you also got to take into consideration your spiritual health and your mental health. That's one thing a lot of people don't take serious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think you need to take consideration for all of those, right? Your mind, body, and soul. However you want to look at it, I think that's very important to nurture, to grow. Um, Self-awareness, like know yourself, what you've been through, forgive yourself, be gracious to yourself. This world, it's an unforgiving world. Nobody cares about you, so you have to have that self-love to know um, you're worth more than what people may think of you. You know what I mean? Tell yourself that you love yourself, you know what I mean, and mean it, and that will take you a lot further than you think you would be able to walk without that self-love. You know what I mean? And too often we don't we don't have that self-love until our later years. But you know give yourself that grace, you know what I mean, and be forgiving. And just sometimes you got to pat yourself on the back. You're doing a lot of work. Just keep it going. Stay motivated, keep learning. Is a lifelong journey. Just make sure you keep educating yourself and you keep leveling up whatever it is you do, even if it's a baby step. As long as it's a step forward towards your goal, then you keep doing it, keep marching forward. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
um, create good habits. There's so much information out there, for one not to be in a take advantage and have control over their outcome. You know what I mean? And like I said, man, like I could have been in a worse situation, but there came a point where things had to change. And when I gravitated towards books, my life changed. So I'm very confident that anybody else walking in the same path that chooses to do that will also level up. Um, yeah, man, and consumption. If you're scrolling through social media, looking at trivial stuff all day, that's also part of health, right? What you consume. If you're just
Yep.
consuming nonsense, you're actually hurting what you can't, like limiting what you can be learning, what you can be applying that could help you towards your future. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So be aware of that, and make adjustments to your life as needed. You know what I mean? One way you can do that is you can look at your activity time on your phone and see how long you've been on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And if you're spending like 4 or 5 hours a day, imagine if you switch that out with reading a book. How much more information would you have that's useful? You know what I mean? That you could use and apply towards your life.
Or exercising or
Or anything else.
networking or yeah. Yep.
Anything else. Imagine if you're on there 4 hours a day times 7 days. That's almost like 30 hours. That's almost a full work week of you not getting any being productive or getting any kind of information.
Mm-hmm.
So peep that, check how much time you're spending on that, make an adjustment. Be like, okay, let me limit myself to an hour a day. And that gives you 3 hours to do something else. Research publishing, research royalties, research real estate, research crypto, research investing. You know what I mean? Like go to the gym. There's so many different things. So I think what we consume is part of health too, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate all the information that you shared, man, and I agree with the comment that DJJ made a little while ago, man. That I'm sure your mom is really proud of you, bro. My condolences, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but I do. I give you your flowers while you're here, man, and just let you know that you're doing great things, and just recognize, man, that you're on your path to even greater things, man. So we wish you nothing but success and good health, man. And like I said, man, I really appreciate you coming on and just just sharing your story with us, man, because I know it's not always that easy. But I guarantee you that there's somebody out there that will pick something up from it, including myself. And if anybody else out there picked up anything from Jay or myself during this session, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, drop a comment. You can follow us on Instagram at Grown Man Sessions. You can contact Jay. Go ahead and give him your contact information too, bro.
Yeah, j.invests on Instagram. That's where I kind of share my nuggets of information, kind of, my inspiring, mottos and mantras, just kind of some of the things that I'm into. And then for all my music folks out there, Stilla on the beat. You know what I mean? Stilla _on_the beat. So check me out. We got some music dropping, and I'm still active in that space. But you got to diversify your revenue streams if you want to be, in a better position. So,
Yes, sir.
everything I'm talking about is everything I'm living.
Yes, sir. And then I'll put his contact information that he just said in the description below. So if you're reading this after the fact, or if you're listening after the fact, you'll be able to reach out, if you want to build. I highly encourage anybody that listens to this session to reach out to Jay or myself and just build, man, because we want to help. If you're somebody that is trying to level up, man, like I would love to help you, and I'm sure Jay feels the same. So don't be shy. Have courage, and just know, man, that you're not alone, and that you're gonna be great too. You're gonna do some great things. But that's it for us today. Thank you for everybody that tuned in live. I really appreciate it. This is our first session, so I'm very, very excited to keep doing more of these. But stay tuned. Like I said, this is just the beginning, and we're gonna just keep trying to inspire young men and just people in general. So we're just trying to do our part to leave the world a better place than what we found it. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll check you guys out next time. But for now, I always end by saying that one person can change the world, but it's one person at a time, and that one person is you. Peace out.
Absolutely.